Last Light, a 4X game that plays in an hour. My first impressions. This is Brian from the Savage Board Gaming Channel. I just wanted to go over Last Light a little bit. I played my first game, well, technically my second game, but um, it really was the first where I had to teach the rules and everything. The first time I played it was in 2023 at the WSBG event. I played with Roy, who designed the game, John D. LeClaire, Dave Wainwright from Man vs. Meeple. But I was very, I was thinking it was more like TI4, so I thought I could hold back, stay back a little bit. So I really didn't play very well. But last night we played for the first time. So I just wanted to go over some of the things that I noticed and maybe give you my thoughts on the game, because it definitely was a lot of fun. Okay, so in Last Light, the object of the game is to get 20 light tokens, which are basically, I look at them as like victory points, right? So what will happen is once that round is finished out, not the turn, but the round, then whoever has the most light wins. So on your turn, you'll be playing one of these 5 cards. Unfortunately, on Tabletop Sim, it doesn't let me do a lot of stuff with this. Let me see if I can pull these out here and go through them real quick. Unfortunately, I'm going to use this for my video because I don't have really a good place to record in my house. So I'm just going to use this as a way to go through it. So you're going to play one of these. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Where's the other one? We're missing one. I'm missing my 6 card here. That's weird. Oh, I see it. It's stuck. Stuck here. Oh, don't fall. Yeah, there we go. So the first one is research, right? So research, when you play it, because what we're all doing is taking simultaneous turns. So we'll all place one of these cards face down. Once everybody's ready, we flip them over. We all do what our cards say simultaneously, which makes the game move a lot faster. Like I said, I'm a big fan of Twilight Imperium 4th Edition. So hearing that this game plays so fast was very interesting to me. So when you play Research, you gain 1 light for every text you have in play. Then draw 3 texts, choose 2 of them, and then discard the other one, right? Then, after that, because you always have to do the left before you do the right, you get to spend resources to build those technologies. So that's the first one. That's research. It's how you get your techs, which is a big part of a lot of these 4X games, right? It's very smooth. It doesn't take a lot of time to place out a technology, like sometimes in Twilight Imperium. You might not be able to put out the text you want right away, so you have a good chance of quickly getting technology out in this game, right? So the second card is Mine. And what that is you gather resources from each one of your mining constructs. And what that is on the board, if I can do this, you have these extractors, right? And whatever the extractor is on your colony ship, you get. So I'd get 1 gray resource. But also later on, and I'll explain this later, you'll build extractors on planets. Then the planets will actually produce stuff for you, right? So we'll go over that more once we start talking about the other cards. But you'll just gather up all the resources. You have extractors there. The only problem with that is if somebody else puts their ships on a space where you have an extractor, it blockades your extractor, so you cannot gather resources. which makes sense. So that's the second card. Third card is Construct. So on this one, you build ships. That's what you do on the right. So you have 3 different types of ships in this game. You have small, medium, and large. And this is their cost. 1 gray, a gray and a purple, and an orange, right? So the power of your ships are 1 range, so you can only shoot in the space you're in. You roll 1 dice. 1 heal, 1 shield is like your health, right? And then you can move 1 space, right? Your medium ship is 1 range, 2 dice, 2 shields, 1 movement. Then your large ship is 1 range, 3 dice, 3 shields, 1 movement, and bombardment, which lets you attack extractors if there's no other ships in that territory. So you would just pay the resources. You can build as many ships as you can on that turn. So if you had like 3 gray and a purple, you could build 2 smalls and a medium based on the cost, right? Then the next thing you do is build 1 extractor on a planet you have annexed or on your colony ship. So annex we'll talk about here on the when we get to command, but basically if you've moved your ships out to a planet and you're the only one there, you can build an extractor on it, basically. Okay, the next one is trade. So trade, what happens is you can pick 2 of these options here, right? So this lets you gain more resources. Say if you can't mine right then and there, you can gain more resources. You can turn your cheaper resources into more expensive resources, basically. And if you get 2 of the orange, which is the highest level, you can trade in for light, which you need 20 to win. The caveat of that is you do have to choose an opponent and you give them 1 gray out of the supply. So you are giving something to your opponents, but you can use that as bargaining, kind of like, hey, you know, look, we both took trade. Instead of giving it to somebody else, why don't we just trade with each other and we've increased our trade action? Or, hey, you know, I'm going to trade with you now. Could you stay away from here right now? Now, no deals are binding, so it is what it is. But, you know, you can use that gray resource, you know, as like almost like a little bit of a bargaining chip. So as you play these cards, they stay out on the table. They don't come back to your hand until you play this refresh card, right? So it's unexhaust all of your cards, heal all of your ships, and return all other action cards to your hand. So in this game, you'll be having your alien faction, and some of them say exhaust, so you flip it over. Some of the technologies say exhaust, so you'd flip the technologies over. And when you play your refresh card, it resets them so you can use them again. Also, it gives you your cards back, right? So you can play them again. Then the next thing is, for each outer planet, you gain 1 light, and for each inner planet, you gain 2 lights. So if you control a territory with nobody else in, on this outer ring, you gain 1 light, right? Now, if there's an enemy ship in here and you're defending this, it does stop you from getting the light, but you have to just plan for people to block you occasionally, right? And then you get 2 light for any of these inner ring planets, right? Once again, it can be blocked off by an opponent, but still, it's a way to get light, right? Then the last card is Command. You have to excuse me, I'm not an expert on Tabletop Simulator. It irritates me a lot. So Command is real easy, right? You move all of your ships up to their speed. So all the ships start out 1 speed, so they'll be able to move from 1 space to another. So like from the small ship can move here or it can move here. It cannot move here because there's an asteroid which blocks off the space. So yeah, you can move it to any of these three spaces. When you get here, it can actually move to here, because if you look, they're touching, right? Here or here, right? So you move all your ships at once, and sometimes there's a conflict of the order of which commands are played. It's real simple. If multiple people play command, right, you figure out who's the first player, which right now is purple, right? And if you would go clockwise. So whoever played command would go clockwise. So say if, let's see, this blue player played command, and then red played command also, then blue would get to move all their ships first, then red would get to move all their ships. So after you move all your ships, you may attack. Each of your units may attack a target in range. So everybody starts out where they can only attack in the same space they're in. So if you have you and another opponent in the same space, you could attack them. And you do that by rolling dice. So, like I said, the ships have different amount of dice they roll. Like the small ones roll 1, medium ones roll 2, big ones roll 3, right? So what you would do is you would take the dice. So if I was doing a small ship, I would just roll, and I would see what I get. So there's different symbols on here. What I rolled here is a crit. And what a crit does is you get to roll a second dice. So it's like an exploding dice. I rolled another crit because Tabletop Simulator is weird. So that would be 3 hits right here. 1, 2, 3. Now the other sides of the dice are, if it'll let me just rotate them. So there's 1. It's just a regular hit. This is a hit and a special ability on your ship, which I'll get to here in a second. I didn't go over the text yet. Rotate again, if it'll let me here. There's your crit, a miss, and then just your special ability, right? So that's how it works. So those are the 6 cards. So let me go over technologies. So there's 3 different types of technologies. So let me see if I can just find each type. So this is a civilization technology. Let me spin it. There we go. All right, there we go. So civilization have this blue glow around the top. This is the cost to build it, and this is what it does. So when you refresh, so you play your refresh card, you gain a light for each non-blockaded distant planet where you have an extractor. So there's 3 types of planets. There's distant. These are, I forget what these are called. Has to do with the refresh card. Outer planet and then inner planet, right? So these ones along the outside of the border, distant. These ones on the next ring are outer, and then these are inner planets, which makes sense because you're around the sun, basically, right? So that's what that one would do. And there's a bunch of different ones. The only rule about these civilization technologies are you can't use 2 with the same name. Like this one is called light refinement. So you couldn't have a second one called that. Okay, next, let's see if we get a different one here. It's another one of those. How about we do this? Shuffle. Hey, we got one. So this is a um, ship ability card technology. So, so this one is ballistic drones, right? Immediately make another attack with one ship of this type, targeting only an extractor. You may make this attack even if there are enemies present, and even if the equipped ship does not have bombardment. So you only ship that you start with has bombardment or you're large, but this lets you bombard with other ships. So what you would do is you would build this and you would place it on one of your ships types. So if we go down here, if it'll let me, there we go. It would go right here if you wanted to put it on your small ship, right? And then you would get that if in combat you roll that symbol. So you have to be in combat to use it, basically, but then you can just, if it ends up being there on the dice. Let's see here, roll again. Still roll again. Nope. I'm rolling lots of hits and crits here. There it is. So if you roll this during combat, you could do that power, basically. And this one doesn't say you have to exhaust it. So you might get to use this multiple times during the combat. So if you have multiple ships, right? There are also other ship abilities that do not require this, so they can be used at any time. Just be aware of that. And let's see if I can get the last type here. Flip. Nope, green. Yellow, okay. Yellow or ship mods. Okay, so let me zoom in on it here. So ship mods are the same thing. Here's what it costs to build, and this is what it does. So it says this ship has +1 die. So it just increases the amount of dice it can roll. So these would go right here. Right? So your small ship can hold 1 because of this little dot here, 1 mod. Medium ship can hold 2 mods. Your large ship can hold 3 mods. So those are your technologies. So as we play this, you'll play your cards out. You'll play your refresh. When you play your refresh, it stays out on the table, but all the cards that were played come back to your hand. Once everybody has played their refresh card, we do a couple things. First, we check to see if anybody has 20 light, which will mean that the game is ended. Whoever has the most light wins, right? The second thing we do is we rotate the board. So this inner ring will move 90 degrees. So it would go from here, this part would go from here to here. And then the outer ring would go 45 degrees. So this would go from here to here. So what that does is, in a lot of these 4X games, you can just sit in your sector, kind of, and defend yourself. What this happens to mean is that once you put ships out here, they're going to rapidly move across the board. So ships you have put out here, maybe to defend stuff you had back here, might not be there. They might be over here now, right? So just be aware of that. I think this game pays you to be I hate to say it like this, conservatively aggressive. Like you need to get out here and start taking over these planets and these rings. But just be aware that your troops might get put on the other side of the board, right? And your opponent's troops might be coming towards where you're at, right? In my first game, I was very aggressive, and it suited me pretty well. Even though I did lose, I shouldn't have lost. I noticed there was a rules error, which, that I made when teaching. I thought if you ran out of cards, you could only pick up your refresh, which is not the rule. I looked back in the rule book. It is you pick up all your other cards but your refresh. So at the end of the last night's game, I could have actually did more and probably won, but I will give my nephew the victory with a big asterisk next to it. So if he's listening to this, let him know that he won, but not fairly. All right, so that's the gist of the game. We'll continue to do do your actions over and over again until somebody gets 20 light. So your big. Oh, there's one more thing about once everybody plays a refresh. Once we spin this board, if you have ships in this inner part around the sun, for each ship you gain 1 light. So just be aware of that. So it's another way to gain light. So the main ways I was noticing of gaining light in the first game that I played was the technologies. I ended up getting 8 technologies out by the end of the game. So every time I took the research action, I got 2 light. Because it's 1 light for every 4 techs you have in play. Just be aware, though, that this happens before you manufacture. So if you have 7, right, and play this, you only get 1 light, but then you can build a technology to put you up to 8. You'll get the 2 the next time you play this card, right? The other way, obviously, is the refresh. So claiming planets in the middle here, which I really didn't explain all that well. I'll go over that here shortly. But controlling planets in these 2 rings, and then the center ring is the best way to get light, I think. So let's go over capturing planets, right? So let's say if I am this player here, right? I use my command card, I move my ship here. 2 things happen. Well, 1 thing happens. This gets flipped over. So we'll flip it. I can put it back on there. So I get the gray effect, which is build a ship. So in this case, I would take one of my small ships. Put it on this space. Right? Then, if I build an extractor using the construct card, I can then mine purple. So that's how you get more resources, is you build extractors on these planets. So let's say, talk about blockading, I guess, next. I'm here, and this player comes over here, and I built my extractor over here, right? If I go to mine right now, I will not get this resource because my opponent has a ship here. So that's a good strategy if you're behind, is to try to blockade your opponents. Just be aware, though, that you have to survive a battle normally in order to get in position to do that. But it did happen to me last night. I had 3 planets, and 2 of them got blockaded. I had 4 planets, actually. But 3 in the middle here, right, that got blockaded. So I couldn't gain light whenever I did my refresh off of them, right? Because it also blocks light whenever you do your refresh, because you don't own this sector, basically. So the other thing about movement is when you move into one of these areas, you get this. So these are exploration tokens that you gain the resource or whatever it says on the other side. But yeah, my main ways, like I said, the main ways I've seen of getting light, so you have to build your strategy around this, is inner circle whenever the board rotates, your refresh card for controlling planets in the outer and inner ring here, and your science research card, I should say. Having at least 4 or more will get you a light. Now there are planets, if I can find one here. Flip this. That's not it. That's not it. Oh, that's not it. See if I can find one. Maybe This distant planet here. Here. So this planet here, if you build an extractor on it, right? This will actually let you mine light. So every time you take the mining action, you'll get a light. So yeah, those are the main ways that you can gain light. As for strategy, like I said, you have to be aggressive. You need to get out there and start claiming these planets, but make sure that you're not leaving yourself exposed, right? You want to be able to defend yourself. So like if I grab these planets and that board spins away from my colony, because this is where all your ships are built. So when you do a build action, they go right here. I might not be able to reinforce my troops fast enough. The other thing is make sure that you're not setting yourself up for failure by leaving yourself with no options, right? I think sometimes it's worth playing your refresh card early, but I at least try to get like a couple cards out there first. Because once you play that refresh card, you're stuck. So if you play research, then refresh, then play command, right? You can only do command once that round, whereas you'll be doing research twice. Having the ability to do command twice in a round is very good. So I probably wouldn't play my refresh card until I'd done command. Just because that lets me move quicker, right? So it's like this, right? Let's move this off the board. Where's my ship? My ship disappeared. Oh, it's right here. Okay, so I'm here. I play my command, right? I refresh. I build ships. I'm sorry. Let's go over this again. I'm sorry. Play command. I build ships to put them here, right? Refresh to get my command back, and then do command again, and I can move my ships like this, right? That way I'm going after 2 planets in one go. Could also be something like this, right? Was here and here, right? I go command. I go here, get the exploration token that was here. Go here. Can then refresh again, and then do command again. Always be cautious of your opponent to your right, right? Because they'll be putting their ships out here. The board's going to spin this way, right? So those are some of the things I've noticed. I would say, like, if I was giving it out of a 10-point scale, I'd give this game a 9, maybe a 9.5. But I've only played it once, and this is just first impressions of it. Like I said, I can see strategies if you're like going heavy into tech where you could win without maybe grabbing as many planets. Like I said, I had 8 planets or 8 techs, which was giving me 2 light every time I did this. So you basically want to make sure wherever you're generating light, you can do it multiple times. So if you're generating light on research, you'll play research, right? And make sure that you don't play your refresh before the research. That way you can do do refresh, I should say. Get this back to your hand and play it again. All right? There's 4 light, basically. So, but yeah, that's my overall thoughts on it. Like I said, I made that one major mistake about how, like, if you have no cards, what to do. I didn't see the blurb, and what I had done is I had watched a video, and I could have swore they said if you ran out of cards, you just pick up your refresh card, like you lost your turn. So that was obviously a mistake. I should have reread the rules before we played. But yeah, it's a fun game. It was very close at the end, even with all the mistakes. We had one player with 23 at the end. I had 21, and another player had 20 light. and our fourth player had like 15. But I think that's because everybody was still new, and the one player didn't realize he had to jump out there. They had to jump out there and grab planets, you know. So I think they were in the old TI4 mindset of I can hold back, you know, and be a little bit more passive. This game rewards you for being aggressive. So, but if you like this talk about the game, uh, please like and subscribe. If you played Last Light, you could share your experiences with the game or any strategies you might have. But thank you for watching and have a nice day.